Hi everybody. It's been a while, but I thought I should go through some of the hands that I've played recently. As you know, in the last video I hit the bankroll mark of $60 profit, where my bankroll was at $100, allowing me to move up to 5NL. So I took that shot, and unfortunately, as you can see, I played 1,000 hands and ended up losing $12, which is enough to take me back down to $90 in the bankroll, because I had about $102 to start with because of some rake back, and then losing $12 gets me down to 90, which means I did have to move down to 2NL again to try and recover that loss. So I've picked out some hands that were quite interesting, that I think I've made a couple of mistakes on that I definitely could have improved on to make this shot more successful in the future. So let's just get straight into it. Okay, first hand. The button opens, 3.5x, and because he made it a fairly large sizing, I do want to 3-bet more of my range rather than call. I'm still going to call some hands, but more of the weaker parts of my range that would usually be calls now just turn into bluffs. And then obviously some of my stronger ones like Jack 10 suited, King Queen suited, like those kinds of hands would also just be 3-bets as well. So I 3-bet Jack 10 off for 4x, seems fine, and we get a defend. Because we're 3-better, we have range advantage on most boards, and it's not a big mistake. In fact, we'll capture most EV just by betting a third pot with our entire range, so we do, and we get called. Now when our opponent calls, he's going to have top pair a lot, he's going to have overpairs, he's going to have like ace 5, ace 3, he might have some ace highs as well, and he might have some backdoor flush draw floats. So we've got to keep this range in mind when we go to the turn, which is the 6. On this turn, we can probably get a lot of his backdoor flush draw overcards to fold. Like if he had 9, well, if he had 9-8 suited, he's not going to fold, right? It turns to turn an open ender. But what if he had 10-9 suited, not of spades? If he had 10-9 suited of clubs and diamonds, he would fold. If he had like ace 5, ace 3, ace 3 would fold now, but ace 5 might not because it's turned an open ender. Top pair, overpairs won't fold as well. So we're coming to the decision that at this point, a lot of opponents' range just like improved, and not enough of his range is going to fold for me to make a barrel worth it. So when I do barrel, I think this is just a big mistake. It's just lighting money on fire here at this point. We get a call, and the river is the 7, and at this point I think I knew that the jig was up. Like there's just not a lot of hands we're going to get to fold at this point, because we've only got 263 left into 516, so you know, a lot of his range just isn't going to fold. Like overpairs aren't going to be folding. We're only really going to get ace highs to fold, and maybe 6-5 might fold as well, but yeah, just not enough. So we check, and he bets, and we just fold, and we lose half a buy-in that way. Okay, let's look at this hand. Slightly loose open from the small blind, but I was just feeling it. We open 4x, and the big blind defends. Board is 7-6-5. This is a board where we're going to do a decent amount of checking, and when we do bet, we're going to bet like 2/3 because this isn't a board we can bet our entire range 1/3 on. So we decide to bet our double straight draw and backdoor flush draw, and it's just 9 high. Perfect candidate to just bet as a bluff, so we bet 2/3. We get clicked back, so we just call. Right? There's no need to try and 3-bet bluff because that gets a bit too wild. This guy's representing a fairly strong range with the click back, but at the same time he's giving us decent odds to draw. So we call, hoping to hit an 8, a 4, or just any diamond, really. The turn is a 6, so we check with the intention of just giving up versus any bet, and interestingly enough, our opponent checks back. So when he just clicks it and then checks back this turn, I would expect a lot of his range to just be 7x, and maybe some trapped 7s, 6s, 5s, 7, 6. If he wants to trap like boats, that's fine as well. He can trap boats, but if I give him a lot of 7x as well, that click back the flop and then just check back the turn, then there's a lot of combinations of 7x, and then a few combinations of bluffs. He might also just have some random air gives up, so he was spazzing with on the flop. And versus that entire range, I think we can just steal it away on most rivers. The river's a queen. It's a perfect river to try and scare some 7s off. So I actually really like this decision to go for the small overbet here, to try and scare off 7x and obviously his heir. Obviously we lose to those trapped boats, but I think this is a pretty decent spot to try and take it away. I think we could even make this slightly larger to really discourage 7x to call as well. Unfortunately, we do run into a rip on the river. In my experience, players are not creative enough yet to start bluffing with this line. Like, click back the flop and then check the turn and then just rip it versus an over on the river. This is just likely to be a boat. So nothing to do here but to fold. Oh, sorry. Okay, this hand. We've got an open and we decide to 3-bet, 6-5 suited. Folds around and the original razor calls. Flop, 10-4 deuce, he checks to us, we bet our entire range with 1/3. It's worth noting that we do have a gut shot here, and we get a defend. Turn is a jack, which is a really nice card to put pressure on 10x, and also all of his pairs, like 9s, 8s, 7s, 6s, and 5s, that all would have defended versus the flop bet, but now are facing huge pressure on a jack, and we still have a gut shot. So in my opinion, this is the perfect spot to pot it, or to bet really large. Like a small overbet would work. Just got to bear in mind that a small overbet would put his a lot of his stack in on the turn, so we won't leave a lot of wiggle room on the river. So I think pot is actually pretty perfect here. So when I bet 2/3, I think this is just a small mistake. I do like that I'm going for the bet, but it needs to be bigger because I need to put pressure on 10x really. And a lot of his under pairs like 9s, 8s, and 7s might just find a call anyway versus this size, whereas a pot will just get rid of all of that. Unfortunately, we did get clicked on here, which to me represents like sets he didn't raise on the flop, which is fine. He could have 4s and 2s and 10s. He could have jack 10 suited. He could have like ace jack of clubs, He could have like ace 10 of clubs. He could have 9 8 of clubs that turned as combo draw. So, a lot of strong hands, and we just don't have to do anything but just fold here. So far we've had 3 hands where I've been really aggressive and just faced resistance. And although I could have played a few of them better, I think that over 1,000 hands losing 2 buy-ins, it's just very standard if you play very aggressive to just run into these spots. And just fairly unlucky on my part for the shot to just run into these spots where the opponents just had more nutted hands. Anyway, let's go through this one. We open a 7 suited from the button, and we get a call, a defend from the short stack. Board is ace 8-4 checks to us. We bet our entire range 1/3 pot because we have range advantage here, and we get a call. So when he calls, he's going to have a lot of flush draws, a lot of top pairs, a lot of middle pairs. Just a lot of stuff. He could also just have some king highs and stuff. He'll have some pocket pairs. Turn 7, which is really good because now we're beating every ace. So we just want to get all his money in. I think potting it is a pretty good idea because we'll get his money in on the river by shaping the pot this way. And we get a call. By this point, he doesn't have any air anymore. He just has ace-x and flush draws, and maybe some middle pairs as well. So all his flush draws missed, but I want to get stationed by his ace-x. So when he checks to me, I just put it in, hope to get called by a lot of his ace-x. And fortunately enough, we do get called by the ace-queen here. Very good. Notice that he didn't 3-bet this pre-flop from the big blinds. That's just a small thing you can note, that people won't be 3-betting enough. So that was a nice pot our way. Overall, I think we played it fine. It's just that we could be better with our aggression. And I think that's the thing with poker, right? It's easy to pick up, but it's hard to master. And there's always spots to learn from. So just got to take it, move forward, and try to be better. I'll be moving back down to 2NL to make, so I'm at $90 right now, to try and get back up to $100 to play 5NL again. So you just got to be patient, right? It's slightly painful because it's 5 buy-ins at 2NL, whereas losing 2 buy-ins at 5NL is equivalent to losing 5 buy-ins at 2NL. So losing 2 buy-ins and then have to make it up by winning 5 buy-ins, But that's just the nature of trying to shot take higher stakes, isn't it? Anyway, I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.